Greetings, I am Mr. O'Neill and I teach English Language Arts online in Washington State for Stride K-12. Why is reading important? Why is writing important? In many cases, we don't understand the full depth of how this topic impacts each of us every day of our lives. And here we go. Right off the bat, here are a few examples. Firefighters need reading and writing for completing fire reports. Police officers need reading and writing for completing police reports. Plumbers, electricians, welders, other trade jobs often need reading and writing to complete reports, finalize contracts with clients, etc. Also, reading allows one to learn from academic experts and/or reliable sources about the entire world. Our understanding and opinions about our world are based on what we learn from others. As an educator, I will always encourage you to learn from academic experts and reliable sources. Learning from academic experts and/or reliable sources is a safe way to shape our understanding of our world. Something else to think about. If one cannot read or chooses not to read regularly, then one can only learn information verbally or auditorily through listening, and it limits one's ability to learn from academic experts. Although one could still learn from academic experts through certain podcasts, documentaries, etc. However, one of the biggest hurdles in learning through listening is the fleeting nature of speech. For reading, you can pause, look back at previous paragraphs, look back at previous sentences. You can move at your own pace. When you're listening, once the words are spoken, they are gone. For someone who already struggles with language structure, there is no safety net to go back and re-verify what they just heard. So in many cases, when people struggle with reading, they also struggle with listening, which has a very fleeting nature. Once the words are spoken, they're gone. We can't go back and reread them like we can with reading. This is where visualization comes in. When we read or listen, our brains aren't just storing a list of words, they are building a simulation. Think of it like a mental movie picture in your head. For example, if you hear a description of a stormy harbor, your brain begins to construct a scene with crashing waves and gray skies. When we're reading, visualization helps readers keep track of complex storylines and relationships between characters. When we're listening, since speech is so fleeting, our mental image, that mental movie picture, acts as a permanent anchor that remains after the sound has faded. Visualization is extremely important for reading and listening, and often if visualization is not a fully developed skill in reading, then you'll notice that it's also not a fully developed skill in listening. So we really need to practice our visualization, that mental movie picture going on in our head, for reading and listening. It all goes together. Reading is also important because when we read fiction, that develops one's emotional intelligence because readers sympathize, empathize, and relate to fictional characters as if those characters are real. Let's not forget that pretty much every job or career requires reading skills. Let's transition over into writing. Writing allows one to express creative ideas or important life lessons in narrative writing. This could include fiction or nonfiction about oneself or others. Writing also allows one to express persuasive ideas in argument or persuasive writing. And writing allows one to raise awareness on important subjects through informational writing. Lastly, writing develops emotional intelligence and more broadly improves mental health because writing helps process and potentially resolve conflict. For example, writing autobiographical historical fiction helps writers process childhood and adolescent conflict or trauma. One good example of autobiographical historical fiction would be Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Read that. Let's not forget that pretty much every job or career requires writing skills as well, and I hope this brief presentation has helped you understand the full importance of reading and writing.